What's up, YouTube? So today I want to talk about kind of a lot of stuff, and I would say it's the stuff that I get asked about the most in like YouTube comments, Instagram comments, direct messages, and also the stuff that I get asked about from my clients and the things that I find myself explaining to my clients a lot. Now, before I go into this, I'm just gonna say in case you're new here that my name is Lynette. I am a personal trainer. I have an NASM certification and I've been certified for a little over 2 years. At this point in my career, between working in the gym when I first started as a trainer to now working online full-time, I have literally worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, probably thousands at this point. So yes, I'm talking a lot about nutrition today as opposed to training. And no, I'm not like a registered dietitian or anything, so take this for what it is, as just the opinion of someone who's worked with a lot of people. So I've seen nutrition happening in practice. Like I said, I'm not a nutritionist, and I'm just gonna leave that at that. But the first thing I wanna talk about is like the main thing that I have been asked about lately, because I've kind of opened up about this, and that is counting macros versus counting calories. Now you guys have to remember, macros are still calories. So if you're counting macros, you're still counting calories essentially, and your calories are going to be the same on a day-to-day basis as long as your macros are the same on a day-to-day basis. And most of us know that to lose weight, you have to be eating less calories in a day than you're burning. And not just in the gym, but like just the functioning of your body, your day-to-day life, the total calories that you're burning, just all together, needs to be more calories than the amount of calories that you're eating. Are you following? And this is just if you're dieting. I'm just gonna be talking today as if you're trying to lose weight. Doesn't apply as much if you're like bulking, trying to gain weight. And so I have been counting calories in some way, shape, or form since like the beginning of 2012. I started counting macros in probably the middle of 2013. So I've been doing one or the other or both for a very long time. Counting macros has always been my favorite way of dieting, just because in my opinion it gives a lot of freedom. It lets you choose your own food items, you know, as like opposed to a meal plan, but it also is like centered enough towards your goals to where it's gonna produce a little bit better of a result than if you were just counting calories. And I only say that because when I first started counting calories, like I look back on my fitness pal from like 4 years ago and I see that like 80% of what I ate was carbs and the rest was fat, and I didn't eat protein. Because when I thought of healthy food, I just thought, oh, fruits, vegetables, nuts, peanut butter. So I just tried to eat stuff like that, or I would eat like lean cuisine meals and stuff like that, which had very little protein. So like literally I would be at like 250 grams of carbs per day, 97 grams of fat per day, and like 40 grams of protein. And that was my diet. And then when I started tracking macros, obviously I reined fat in a little bit more, reined carbs in quite a bit more, and upped my protein significantly. But now some of you guys have seen recently that I've said that I've backed away from counting macros and I'm back to kind of counting calories, which is funny because I actually like just this past week went back to tracking macros, but I'm gonna explain to you why one versus the other, etc. So like I said, if you're trying to lose weight, it's about calories in versus calories out. You gotta be taking in less calories than you're putting out. That creates an energy deficit in your body, and you're gonna hopefully burn body fat as fuel since you're not getting food to use as fuel. It's like the layman's terms of what's going on. So technically, and you guys have probably seen this before, you can be on just like counting calories and you can be kind of like on mostly carbs and fat and still be losing weight if you're in a deficit, because you're still giving your body less calories than it needs to function. So you could be eating 1,300 calories of carbs and fat, and if your body requires 1,800 a day or 2,000 a day, you're gonna lose weight. The only thing with that is that if your diet is high in carbs and fat and very low in protein, there's a weird energy balance there. Carbs and fat are energy sources. Protein is more of like a tissue builder. There's more to it than that, but let's just call it a tissue builder. So when your diet is all carbs and fat, that's a lot of energy. So I would say like 1,500 calories is not always equal to another 1,500 calories. If you've got 1,500 calories and 1,300 of it is made up of carbs and fat, that's 1,300 calories of energy. Whereas if you've got 1,500 calories and only 1,000 of it is carbs and fat, you know, the remaining 500 is protein, you have less energy flow in there than the 1,300 calories of energy, if that makes sense. Both are 1,500 calories, one has less energy than the other. And the other that has less energy also has more tissue building, which is going to help those of us who are trying to gain muscle or retain muscle. Are you guys following? Here's some cuteness relief. Come on! Back to business. So So the reason that a lot of people count macros over just counting calories is because they like to be in control of that energy flow. They like to be in control of how many carbs, fat, and protein are in their diet, is because they're looking for a specific result. Carbs and fat operate differently in the body. Carbs are our body's first preferred source of energy. Fat is used in a number of ways in our cells and just in our hormones, etc. So bottom line, people who choose to track macros is because they want the perfect split of protein, carbs, and fat in their diet to get them to a specific goal. Like I said, if you're looking to build muscle, you're gonna want, I think it's like 1 gram of protein per 0.8 of lean body mass, whatever. You're probably gonna want somewhere between like 85 to 150 grams of protein if you're a woman, and a little bit more than that if you're a man. This is just across the board. These are just generics, guys. Don't bite my head off if you were an outlier of this group. But anyway, I recently switched from tracking macros, which is what I've always done, to just counting calories with a protein goal in mind. So I didn't just like say free for all, like I just can go back to eating all carbs and fat again. No, I said, okay, Lynette, you've got to hit at least 100 grams of protein a day, but wherever carbs and fat fall is wherever they fall. So then every day my protein was pretty consistent. It was always between like 115 to 150, leaving only so much room for carbs and fat, the energy source, in my daily diet. So day to day, the number of energy calories was pretty similar. Are you guys following me? So yes, and so like some days my fat would be 60 grams and my carbs would be only 80 grams. And other days my fat would be 45 grams and my carbs would be 150 grams, whatever. And I liked that because I liked having the freedom to choose my food items, as opposed to like every meal trying to figure out, okay, well, what's gonna fit my fat? I gotta save some fat for later for this. Oh man, like I've used so many carbs today, now I can't have any carbs for the rest of the day. I wanted to get away from that kind of like strictness when it comes to diet. I wanted to feel more like, okay, it's the end of the day, I can have an apple, which is 100 calories, or I can have 2 cheese sticks, which is 100 calories. And as long as my protein goal is met, I don't really care which one I end up with, you know, pure carbs or like pure fat. As long as I don't go over my calories through the day, I'm fine. And this worked for me. This works pretty much just as well as if I was tracking macros super strictly. Because like I said, the energy balance was the same as if I had been tracking carbs and fat. I just wasn't like making them be a specific level on a day-to-day basis. Here's the thing with that though. It worked for me because I was in a pretty aggressive deficit, and that is when it's gonna work best. The reason why so many people count macros is because it really does allow you to eat kind of the most amount of food that you can and still lose weight, because the nutrition is so controlled. And then if you stop seeing results, you can just tweak something 10 grams, tweak something 15 grams, and start seeing results again. Even though you're only changing 60 to 70 calories at a time maybe, you're still seeing the results you want just because your body has gotten used to that, your body knows what to expect from you on a day-to-day basis, etc. Whereas calories, since the energy levels are fluctuating, since one day fat is really high, one day fat is really low, because of the inconsistency, I find that you have to drop calories a little bit lower than if you were counting macros to really see the same result. So say, like for example, now I'm usually on between like 1550 to 1600 calories a day, and I'm losing weight, sticking to my macros, whatever. Whereas when I was counting calories, I had to drop pretty much to like 1400 or less to see the scale move at the same pace and to see results at the same pace, just because of the inconsistencies in my diet, the fat and carbs being higher on a daily basis than they would have been if I had been tracking macros, etc. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. A lot of you have asked, why did you switch to counting calories? Again, it was because I just wanted more freedom. Even if it meant a few less calories, I was okay with that, as long as it meant that, you know, at the end of the day I could have toast or I could have bacon. It doesn't, you know, I just wanted that freedom. And it was nice. It was really nice, and it freed up my diet a little bit and made me feel like, okay, I can go to an event and I don't have to pick out the fat sources, the carb sources. I can just eat what I want. And it was a really nice way to operate for the last like month or two of summer, where like we have barbecues and family events and vacations and stuff like that. But like I said, it's not going to yield the exact same result as tracking macros specifically. And once you run into an issue where your weight plateaus at just counting calories, all you really can do is just drop calories lower, and you're gonna have to drop them probably at least 100 calories or more from your daily intake just to see a result come back again. And it's hard to say, like, you know, what do I decrease? What should I increase? There's nothing to play with because there's not really any control. Whereas with counting macros, like I said, you can cut carbs 15 grams and you have a control there, you know? You can see if that works or doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, raise them back up and then drop fats. there's so many more elements for you to play with to find your result and find what works for you. And so that's why with my clients, I still have them track macros. But if I have someone who doesn't want to track macros, it's like too tedious for them or whatever, I will say, okay, we're gonna track calories, just make sure your protein is this level every day, and they do fine. Especially for like a non-experienced dieter who hasn't been like counting macros and dieting rigidly for like years like I have. My body is less sensitive to diet changes. And also I will have clients who have gotten just like sick of tracking macros. It causes, a lot of people ends up starting to cause anxiety because they're perfectionists and they get really, really stressed out if they can't hit their macros perfectly. Sometimes with those clients, they'll say, all right, we're just gonna track protein and calories and you're not gonna stress out about the fat and carbs anymore. And they usually will see some results too. It will slow down, but sometimes that's worth it to see the slower results just to have more freedom and peace about your diet and your food situation in general. So yes, to like bottom line everything, the pros of counting macros is obviously easier to control your results and you can diet on higher calories usually. The cons is obviously the structure and the rigidness of it makes it like you can't be very flexible with your diet, especially if you're going out or if you're in the mood for carbs versus fat, etc. You don't really have that there because your diet is so like you have to have these macros specifically every day. And also the con of that is just that it can cause anxiety for some people. It can cause like disordered thinking about food or stress about food, and just because your food is so controlled. And for some people that just brings a lot of negative emotions up. So then the pros of just counting calories is obviously a lot more freedom, a lot more availability to choose what you want, when you want, and you're not like trapped into any kind of food or type of macro, if you will. I know for myself, like I just loved it at the end of the night. All I had to worry about was calories. Like if I had 200 calories, I could do whatever I wanted with them. It didn't have to be some specific set of macros, you know? So that's awesome. The con of that obviously is it's harder to tweak that when you stop seeing results just because there's no control. And you usually have to diet on lower calories to see the same kind of a result as you would tracking macros. I feel like I've progressively gotten closer to the camera over the course of this video. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. I've gotten so many questions on this and I just wanted to like put this video out there to like cast my thoughts out there for you guys. So if you are somebody who wants more flexibility in your diet, wants to like take a break from strictly counting macros, but like doesn't want to like kiss all of their results goodbye, I highly recommend just moving back to counting calories and like aiming for a protein goal every day so that you know that that tissue building macronutrient is in your diet and to the level that like, you know, reserves muscle mass and helps build muscle mass, but they're not worrying about carbs and fat. Let them fall where they may up to that, you know, caloric level. And some people can go from tracking macros and then switch over to the same amount of calories and just count protein, like I said, and they still see the same kind of result. Maybe you're lucky. I'm not one of those people, but you might be. A lot of my clients are. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Why does this always end up happening in all my videos? I have no idea. Say goodbye to kitten.